Welcome to the Digitally Dreaming off the Gridiron podcast. I'm your host, Asif Ali. I'm joined here today by 2021 Lone Star champion, Devon Edwards Williams. Devon, how are you doing today?
Doing well. Feeling great today. Thank you for having me on.
100%, 100%. So first of all, congrats on your season. Congrats on winning the
Thank you.
league.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
how was it for you?
It was fun. It was a different experience. I had to switch sides went from playing defensive end to playing left tackle or guard in arena football. And then got hurt, then went under the weather for a little bit and got my opportunity to get back on defense. And I was told before the game, you better not come out this game without a sack, which I did. I came out that game with the sack. So it felt good. And just competing with you made family with these people it's the one thing about football, you can turn strangers into family.
Yeah.
So you had, my close teammates that's like brothers to me, Tim and Bobby. You know what I'm saying? Those people, I talk to them every day. Like literally gonna call to each other tonight to talk about some stuff. And like we just keep each other accountable. So it definitely been an experience, meeting new people and just trying to just get to the next level.
100%. And kind of what you just said, kind of just harkens me back to when I played, obviously, also indoor back in 2012 with the Cal Eagles. I mean, it was interesting because after the team folded, everyone kind of went their separate ways and everyone kind of lost contact. But then when I came back in the game, 6 years later, back in 2018 to play with the Falcons, essentially, it was different because in a sense, like it was more like a family. The Chicago Falcons had a more family organization. I almost feel like the West Texas Warbirds. Obviously, I know many members of the administration, the coaching staff. So it does feel like, it's kind of like a family atmosphere, and you guys are kind of unified, both on and off the field. So I think that's testament to the culture, a testament to you guys as professionals and as athletes. So kudos.
Well, West Texas was definitely a player-ranked team. To win the championship, you have to be players first. The players
Right.
has to be the running of the team. Not saying that the coaches don't run the team, but you set the tone, you set the atmosphere, and you had guys that competed, like the closest teammates that I'm in the group chat with, but like my boy DJ, Bobby, Tim, Akil, T. Will, and then Zay. But then you also had you had your standout stars with like Los, Gandy, our quarterback Daniel, AD, all the stars and all my other, my boy Bink. They at Spokane, that Spokane group, that the Warbirds Spokane team now. Like you have all your talent that's all over the place, and you come together as one team. We joke around, we talk all the time, and we actually hung out together.
100%. So yeah, I love that. So let's go ahead and start with the early years. Was football your first love, or how did you get into football?
Football was not my first love. Basketball was my first love. My favorite Vince Carter got me loving basketball, and then Carmelo took over that love. So I loved Carmelo growing up. I always wanted to be like Carmelo, but I was a lefty. So being a lefty, is a little different, but I took his form. I tried my best to make it to the high school basketball team. And like my childhood best friend, his name is actually Devon, but spelled with an I. He made me love football. So I became a Jets fan because of him. And then I just became like just loving football. And basketball didn't do it for me anymore. It didn't take the aggression that I had. I had a rough childhood. So like football was able to manifest another person that you can, like a superhero. And like I like playing the role of a villain. Like I love playing like the trash talking bad guy, and I'm a nice person, but inside the lines is the only time I talk trash. So football was not my first love, but it is my passion now. And I'll move heaven and earth to continue to play as long as it's right for my family.
100%. No, I do think, your point about physicality and aggression, it's funny. When I played basketball, I was good at rebounding and defense, but then basically they said that anytime you go like this, and when you move your feet, they call that movie screen. Or anytime you go like this in general. I'm like, okay, I can't, this ain't gonna work for me.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah, and obviously, like you said, coming up through with a rough child, I'm sure that, like you said, football was a positive outlet to channel all of that kind of pent up aggression, emotional distress, and everything that you had to deal with coming up as a youth. And it was a way for you to kind of release all of that, on the gridiron, right?
Of course, playing football because growing up in New York, you have to you had your peewees. My mom didn't have the money to pay for peewees, so I was a very great street football player. You
Yeah.
know, I thought I was gonna be a quarterback. I wanted to be like Big Ben without the rape allegations and stuff. We're not gonna talk about that, but that's who I wanted, like Brett Favre, the big kind of guy, because I was big as a kid.
Yeah.
But then I couldn't read defenses like I can now. I could read a defense and understand a cover 2 and a cover 3. But growing up, I just couldn't understand it. So I started gaining more weight. So I learned I like playing defensive end. And then I got to high school. I went to Cardinal Hayes High School. Cardinal Hayes High School, I started playing my sophomore year in pads. And a coach told me that I wasn't good enough. And like it tore me apart because just instead of you trying to help me, you tore me down. So I worked that off season trying to get better and better. We went to my junior year, didn't play much, but I played enough that the coaches was like, we're going to continue to push you. And I had one of great teammate that I can say was a friend to me. He was a senior, Sean Antoine. He definitely he just showed me the way of just work hard, put your head down and work. So, and he found himself a scholarship going to Rhode Island. So my senior year, they told me is either you could sit behind 3 defensive ends and hope to play or switch to 3 tech. So then I started watching Aaron Donald, and that's who I try to like not mold my game after, but understand that he's a smaller defensive lineman because he's barely 6 feet and he maneuvers very well. So that's how I try to play after. Like I'm 6'2", barely 6'3", depending on my days, you know what I'm saying? Like stand up straight, you know, God blesses me with some rain, I stand up tall, but that's who I try to mold my game on after a little bit. And when it came to my senior year of high school, I had a great season until my brother passed away. And then that's when I started going downhill. My grades started to drop. So I ended up going to a D3 school. And then when I was about to leave, the D-line coach ended up going to a D2 school a week before I'm leaving. And then it kind of messed me up because you sign just like any team, you signed because the coach brought you in. So I was just like, bring me with you. He was like, maybe next year. So I went there, didn't play much my first year. Then I had to transfer, ended up going to Monroe up in New York. So it was a JUCO college. Didn't play there. And then I got invited to a CFL workout. They was just like, yo, come in. We like you. You're young. We could just mold you into what we need. I ended up getting a pinched nerve in my back on a broad jump. And then they were just like, we can't bring you in, but get healthy and we'll contact you. And then just life keep on taking bad turns. The scout got fired. So the new scout, I reached out to the new scout. He's like, well, that was the old scout. I don't like you. Like, he just kept it straight. And I was just like, all right, cool. So I did a little small, just to get into the history of like my football past. I went into a small pro league down in Miami, did that. We went to the championship game and lost. But I played 3 tech there, defensive end. It was 6 games, 3 sacks, it was 17 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries. You know, so like I was playing at a high level, then COVID hit. And then after COVID hit, I signed to St. Louis Bandits. So when I was at the St. Louis Bandits in 2021, it had some ups and downs. It had some ups and downs, and COVID took us out for the season. So we ended the season early with a 2-1 record. I didn't have any sacks because I was playing middle linebacker. But then I also got injured the first game of the season. But then after I got home, I did a rehab for 13 days. I signed to Texas. They brought me in, and I competed at the highest levels I could with my injuries. At the end of the season, I ended up having a hairline fracture in my right wrist, back spasms in my right side of the back, all on the right side. I had an MCL sprain and an LCL sprain in the right knee and nerve damage in my right ankle. And I pushed through that, and I pushed until I couldn't push anymore. And then going through battling your personal depression, because I'm not playing my position, and you know how it is. You only have a football shelf life, so you don't have time to waste. So I was mentally battling: do I want to stay for the opportunity, or do I want to leave because I'm not getting my fair share? And I stuck it out because at the end of the day, I'm a man of my word, and it's not against my teammates. It's just they need me. So I'm that good enough that they need me that well, but I felt I wasn't good enough to play on both ways at the time. So I came home and I just went to work, and I went to work and I went from 280. Now I'm about 240. I trimmed a bunch of weight down. I shredded up. Like I'm going back to West Texas for my second run. And I'm trying to lead the team in sacks, lead the league in sacks. That's my goal.
100%. No, I appreciate you kind of giving me that walkthrough. And I totally agree with you. Kind of, from my experience, kind of for what you just said, it harkened me back to my own experience. Obviously, because you also went to JUCO, you would struggle playing time. I had the same issue with me with San Jose City College my freshman year. So then, and then my coach ended up leaving, and I joined San Jose City because of Coach Dub. He left for Fresno State next year. And then when I went to West Valley College the following season, right, basically it was cool. I mean, I was able to get some special teams time. I won the Iron Award. We didn't win any games, but I mean, it was great run, because we had some really close ones too. And I was able to, get the attention, word of mouth, of the San Jose Sabercats. And then, like you said, CFL, AFL, right? Come on in, come work out.
Right.
And I think I do. Let me show you. I don't know if you can see it, the green one right there. There's my jersey from the combine little thing over there. It was cool. I still have it. And
yeah,
so
I see it. That game's fire.
Yeah, so I appreciate it, bro. But to your point, but then when they get down to a 35-man roster, like, yeah, hey, we're sorry, like, come back again, keep working, the next season, the Stockton Wolves get a hold of it, trial footage, and it's crazy how arena teams are kind of like, very very tight knit about releasing that tryout workout footage. I don't know why, but anyways, the Stockton Wolves,
they don't like giving you nothing.
They don't give you nothing, right? Exactly. And I'm like, wait, why can't I? So anyways, that's why I was like, where's your highlights? I'm like, well, anyway, and so essentially then when the Stockton Wolves, then they came out the following year in 2011, they would say, we saw her word of mouth, come out, do you play R? What kind of slot? I'm like, yeah, I play R. And I came out, worked out, came out last three. And then they said, yeah, like, we're sorry, but yeah, I mean, not we're sorry, but like, you did great, keep working, come back in next year. 2012 comes around. I'm like, okay, here we are. Been cut twice. And I'm just like, okay, now what, right? And so, my mom's getting on my case, right? I need to figure out, get myself a degree, get my actual job, right? And at this point, I'm delivering pizzas. I'm still taking my class at JUCO. And so now, basically, the Stockton Wolves get rebranded as Cal Eagles. New ownership, everything. Hey, yeah, same spiel. I'm like, man. And they're like, no, come on, just like coaching, like, just come out. We'll see. You know what I mean? Last other dude was bigger, stronger, faster, better vertical, better 40, but they saw that I wouldn't. Right. And then, I get the call. I'm like, oh my God, and
you get your opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. And then to your point, to your experience, right? Like, obviously with football, right, you don't want to quit, but it's funny because our team in the league kind of with the things and you can relate to this, you talk about this because obviously I've talked to a lot of members of the team, with how the league kind of started and how you guys have to kind of adjust, right? Same thing, the AIFA, right? In the middle season, right? Some teams got suspended. We were able to be the Western Conference champions, represent the West. We were able to go play the championship game against the Cape for Heroes. We ended up losing that game, but we still had a great run, right? And at the end of the day, then, everyone kind of kept in touch, but I kind of disconnected, from my teammates. It was just like, because at this point, I'm like, 3 years straight, and I've just kind of been on this journey, and, to come up short, even though we made it, and it was such a great, I honestly didn't wear this for a long time, I was like, and I still haven't posted any footage or any photos from that season, just because I'm just like, I'm just like, man, like, we were this close, you know what I mean? But like you said, I mean, like it was one of those things, but then when I went back to school and I took my break and I decided to go to move to Chicago after I finished my master's and I got back in it. Like I said, it was a completely different environment. So it was a family, and like you said, my mindset was different because now I wasn't a 22-year-old rookie. I'm a veteran. I'm a 28-year-old veteran. And these kids and these, young, new incoming kids or whoever, right? 21, 22-year-olds, I'm going to have to be able to guide them on certain things. Whether we're doing special teams, whether we're doing receivers, whatever we're doing. And obviously, like, I also held the GM title too. So there was that aspect of, of it, right? So they're going to look to me, from both ends. And so essentially, like with that, obviously, we were able to go, and we made a conference championship run. And then I was able to make my All-Star game. And then I was able to finish out the season. And that was probably one of my greatest accomplishments. That's why the All-Star jersey last year's I ever wore, in competitive play, is right there behind me. Because, at the end of the day, I didn't put on a team, and that's it, So I think that's kind of what I gained, and from your story, you also had a lot of ups and downs. You had a lot of different pitfalls. You had a lot of different. So talk to me about what your greatest challenge you think was for you, and kind of what was your greatest kind of achievement or greatest obstacle you overcame.
My greatest challenge is coming from like New York. People don't believe in that New Yorkers we're ballers and we can compete at the highest level.
Right.
And it's not an easy feat because at the end of the day, like, yeah, we may not have the size or the opportunity to show the talent compared to Florida and Georgia and Texas and Cali. But we got some dogs that come from New York. Most of the Jersey athletes are from New York. They just travel to New Jersey to go to school.
All
but
facts.
They don't know that. Like
Rob Gronkowski.
People don't know that. So they get Gronk was from Buffalo. And then there's a couple Purdue guys right now. There's a DB number 21. He's from Harlem. Number 99 from Purdue is also from Harlem. Right. So we have ballers that's at D1 AA, D1 single A schools. Me losing D2 scholarships, being kind of undersized at the time before the Aaron Donalds, the smaller defensive ends, smaller defense 3 techniques came out. Teams were like, yeah, you're kind of undersized. And then I didn't have a great defensive lineman body yet. I didn't have my man body yet. Now I'm getting into my man body, and then my not playing as much in college, I'm underdeveloped. So for my skill set, everything is still raw.
Right.
So some dudes will come in better, looking better until the game they're burnt out, or they just not mentally, they don't have that mental fortitude. Because I have more to gain than to lose. I have nothing to lose. From my biggest feat, I haven't gotten my biggest win yet. I don't think I have it because every year is a new challenge to me. And I've seen some bad falls for myself. I got signed to Wyoming before COVID even happened. And then a month later, they cut me without even seeing you. Like, they just called me and it's like, hey, we're going to cut you. And I was like, why? They were just like, well, we have a housing issue. Then they signed 2 dudes from LSU, which is, I'm not wrong. You're not wrong for doing that, but you just didn't have to lie. Right. You know what I'm saying? And at that time, I understood, but I'm not upset. It wasn't Wyoming, it was Wichita. So I'm actually looking forward to playing Wichita now, since they're in our league, because I'm upset that they cut me. And granted, the coach's not there no more, but they cut me without seeing me play. So I was a little butthurt. So I'm coming for revenge, but it's not in a bad way. It's just because it's football, it's life. So I'm ready. Every year I don't set a goal. I set just personal goals of compete at the highest level, finish the season out, don't get cut. That's the goal every year. Don't get cut. You don't want to have that, go through that, or that feeling, because last year, every year, and I like how they, in West Texas, they keep you on your toes. No one gets comfortable, especially on the defensive line. Nobody got comfortable. You can't get comfortable.
Right.
So for me, I haven't seen a great feat for me, but something that took me down to a deep hole was signing and then being cut a month later without even going into any training camp or anything. That kind of beat me up.
And I appreciate you sharing that, right? Because I think honestly, for me, like like you said, being cut, it's like you said, it's so mentally taxing. It's just like, oh my God, And it's just one of those things where it's like, because then you start questioning yourself, as an athlete, I feel like, am I not good enough?
Exactly.
Right? Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so the doubt starts creeping in, right? And, it's so difficult on the indoor level, right? Because a lot of
family don't understand.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And they don't
family
understand.
Don't understand that. Go ahead. My bad.
No. Yeah, you got it. Go.
No, I was saying because my family's from Jamaica. So they're, blue collar family. They understand hard work, but that understanding of making that sacrifice is something like a kid's game is hard to fathom for some part of my family. And it's okay because that's not their dream. They can't see it the way you can paint somebody a picture and they still can't see what you see.
Absolutely.
You know, so for me, it was never understanding for them. As long as if I can see it, then it doesn't matter what my family says. I just hope that they cheer me on as I go. Now I don't even post about signings until I'm on the team, because the disappointment of like, man, where are you going next? Oh man, you home already? It kind of sucks, because when I was in St. Louis, a former associate that I unfortunately had to fire before I left to St. Louis, he wrote me a text saying, I hope you get cut. And that fueled me for the rest of the year, because it's just like my positivity is so hated on sometimes. And when you try to do good in the world, people still hate you.
Yeah. It's crazy you said that, because I experienced that too. You know, I mean, for me, like, even though I started the podcast, even though I'm out there putting out film, like, for example, I didn't even do a podcast. There's some kids, you know, they know who they are. I mean, and they create a fake account on IG. They commented, oh, where's your highlights? I see nothing. And this guy's, and this podcast is glorifying him as an arena legend. I'm like,
right.
I'm at the point now where I don't even respond. You know what I mean? Because I cannot allow that negativity.
It's not worth it.
Exactly. Because like, you know this because you're still playing. If you allow that if you respond to it, then you're basically dropping yourself down that level. And as an athlete, you want to be on top, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's one of those things, man. I mean, it's crazy how positivity is hated on. And I actually saw a quote recently, like, you know, they said, whether it's social media, whether it's, you know, your personal relationships, whatever, they said recreational hate is so prevalent nowadays. You know what I mean? And I just don't understand it.
You can't run from it.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't run from that hate, because it's everywhere. They could find you on Twitter, find you on social media. They can find you when you're playing games with your boys. Like, oh, you play this? I'm assistant store manager back home while I'm working. And there's still, when I'm training at the gym, people still test you, like, if you're not a grown man. Like, yeah, my dream is my dream, but I'm still who I am as a person.
Yeah.
And I train not because of football. I train for my body. It just happens that football is in the most important part of my life right now.
Right.
So it's just that hatred. You can't run from it. But like they said, all publicity is good publicity. So if it's either good or bad, take it, because that means I'm living rent free in your heart. And if I live rent free, that means you talk about me to your family without me doing anything to you.
It's all facts, bro. And that's exactly what I remembered. That's why I was gonna respond, and I took a step back. I'm like, wait, they created a fake account to comment and to have that viewed, because they want their opinion to be known, because I'm doing something without even addressing them.
Mm-hmm.
That inside reaction that they don't like for whatever reason. It was like that even when I played. You know what I mean? It was like that. Because you know this, right? Whether it's on Facebook, whether it's social media, like I said, on all the different types of platforms. You know, they'll say, oh, fake rings, fake stats, fake this, fake that. You know, what's this guy trying to be? Who's like
he not nice enough. The team's whack. That's why they brought him in. Oh, you know, the competition's not good. But people will die for the opportunity to get paid even $1. You know, that the feeling of just getting a check, no matter if it's $1 to $1,000, it's still a check, something that you dreamt to get playing as a kid. Like, I want to get paid to play. I get offended when people say, oh, you play semi-pro. It's like, nah, I'm a pro athlete.
Yeah.
I get paid to do this. Yeah. I leave my family for months. I miss family trips. My family's supposed to be going away in April. I'm in Texas April 1st.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I miss my birthday. My birthday I spent in Texas, not with my family. You know, you miss time with your loved ones. You miss time with your girlfriend. And it's just like, you make that sacrifice to hopefully you get that one chance that somebody believes in you. So I don't take it I take it more disrespect when people talk down on it. But at the end of the day, I take it as the fact that you can talk about it, that means I'm doing something good.
You actually just made a very important point about kind of the differentiation between semi-pro and kind of being a pro, and the kind of the misconstruation, or I guess the misconstruing of that term, right?
Right.
Because people associate. It's funny because I was like, because when I played for the Falcons, we had the opportunity to play against teams, right? Some of us got paid, some of us didn't, right? And the same thing, like
Right.
when I played for the Eagles, some players got paid, some of them didn't. It's all ownership, right? To kind of make that
Right.
sacrifice, right? I've been very public. When I played for the Eagles, they paid me $8 a game, and then a lot of my
Hey,
teammates with the Falcons would say, "We do that." Hey, sign us up, right? And so to your point about kind of the dollar versus $1,000, right? I mean, I feel like if you're getting any sort of money, and even now, like with my career and being able to kind of market that and still have a following, internationally now, believe it, it's because of the power of social
right.
media, right? It's helped, dividends, of being able to expand that. Where now I make more money not playing than I did as a player, but essentially kind of with that,
It works that way.
it does, right? And so, but with that, obviously, the lack of respect, I think, for the lower level, and I don't like. I mean, I say lower levels, right? But really, it's like the minor leagues, right, of pro
Yeah.
football, of indoor football. It's really abominable, right? It's really just like I don't understand how, what I mean? People would just go say, oh yeah, you play semi-pro, and even if you play semi-pro, there are semi-pro guys who made NFL, who have been on this podcast and who have made NFL rosters, like
Exactly.
without playing a single down of football in college,
Exactly.
right?
The
So
difference is
yeah,
for me is that you have growing up, there was AFL and you could
right,
watch it between after the Super Bowl to all the way to training camp. So
yeah,
growing up as a kid, I knew what the AFL, you knew we used to practice motion, pick the leg up, you got the motion man coming behind you, coming up the sideline, everything. You got
yes
the
sir,
wing, like you having fun. But now that the AFL is gone, people don't know what indoor football is.
right,
Like living in New York, only a few people know that the Albany Empire, if you're not in Albany and you don't play football, you don't know that the Albany Empire won 2 championships back to back.
correct,
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, if you don't know, you don't know. So they will assume that, oh, you just play for free or you play for fun. And it's like, I play because of the love of the game and
yeah,
I want to make it, but I don't play for free now. Like, because at this stage of the game, the players are getting bigger, stronger, faster, no matter if they're in semi-pro or not. The difference between the semi-pro and the pro and indoor pro, we come to practice every day. Like,
100%,
there's no coming late. Like, especially like a team like West Texas and higher, they hold you accountable.
yeah,
You get fined. It may not be thousands of dollars, but that $25 come out of your game check, or that 50, or you're running extra because you're late, or you got to do some type of discipline.
yeah,
You're doing community service work. You're literally, especially if you properly prepare to leave, like you have a savings and you make sure you're set, you're not working. You live your life like a pro athlete. So all you're doing is studying film. You work for 3 hours out the day. That's it. You in team meeting, practice, and the rest of the day is yours. So you got to make sure you take care of your body, make sure you eat right, make sure you communicate with your family, especially if you're away. It's not an easy job, and it's bad. And now imagine you trying to get a job while you're away. Being a pro athlete in arena football is a difficult task, and some people can't do it. Some people fold under the pressure, and sometimes it's a lonely thing, especially when you don't know nobody. And if you're antisocial, it's very important to talk to your teammates, build the communication with your teammates, but even better, market yourself in that family base of the team around you. Because it's not the team that will get you to the next level, I believe. It's always that fan that might have a connection that will talk to, be like, hey, he might not be NFL ready yet, but I know he a dog. I know he liked that. You know what I'm saying? And that's when you got more doors and sponsors. And when I came home, I was doing birthday shout outs for 2 months straight. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was writing letters and emails for kids saying, oh, I want him. Like, people said, why did you leave so early? It's like, I want to go home. I miss my family, but I didn't
yeah,
know the fans wanted me to stay. So I always say to players, advice to any players, no matter you in the NFL or you in arena football, overseas playing in Germany or CFL, market yourself by yourself sometimes. Because yeah, you have an agent, yeah, you may have an advisor, but at the end of the day, it's your mouth. They only gonna say what they work for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't let the agent tell people what you say. Sometimes say it for yourself.
One more thing that you said, like, it harked me back to one of my experiences, right? It's like, I remember, like, one time, like, and I mean, I don't want to I don't want to heap on negativity, but it's just one of those things, because it's just like, I remember one of the dudes in one of the leagues, right? I basically, kind of, post on my Facebook all the autographs I was mailing out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one dude's like, "Oh man, awesome! I love how great you market, bro. Like, don't take any disrespect. I love how great you market yourself, even though you've accomplished nothing remarkable in the sport. It blows my fucking mind away."
Wow. Wow. That's like so much hatred in a compliment. It's a backhanded compliment. And the crazy part is the kids don't care about that. Like, when those kids come to the game, either they got a free ticket or their parents paid $5, or the most I've seen a ticket was $65 to sit
They're paying
sideline.
to watch you play.
Exactly. And that's the
Right.
most beautiful moment in your life, that when people come and pay to see you play on a Saturday night or a Sunday morning before, especially when it's not NFL time. So you definitely got all the city like coming to see you play. It's a beautiful feeling when the kids, I've got autographs, kids drawing me pictures, sending me like, hey, follow me on Instagram. That love drives you, because they don't care if you win or lose. At the end of the day, our team signed a pair of Air Force Ones. I didn't think I was ever going to sign a pair of sneakers in my life. That's a great feeling. You signed footballs, you signed jerseys. I've signed some absurd things. I signed the lady's thigh. Like, I've signed some things like I can't say on a podcast. Like, you feel me? Like, but it's a great feeling that people look at you as like, I want my kids to be just like you.
That's the number one thing. Who you inspire and who you impact is pretty much the testament of your success. So it's funny because, like, again, like, like now, like, and it's funny, like, my fans, like, they almost become family. Like, I know in Morocco, like, they want me to go out there and like kind of lead some of their camps, because American football is growing out there. You know what I mean? And then Ghana, the rugby league, there's a lot of rugby players. One of my boys who's also been on a guest on the show, Siba Ali Muhammad, shout out, right? He wanted my jersey and he wanted my autograph for his birthday. He's going to be 22 coming up, and I mailed it to him last month. He got it, and yeah, man. And I've signed autographs from England. I've signed autographs to Ghana. I've signed autographs to Morocco. I've sent, like, and these are grown ass men too, by the way. So it's not like kids. So that I think that's what I think irks people. Like, okay, if it's kids, no big deal. But fucking like grown men, who the fuck, like King? No. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with it, because that, like, to your point, like with the kids in the indoor scene, because it's such a great family environment, because to go attend a professional game, it's cost effective. It's a great place, like you said, it's a melting pot, right? You get to have everyone there. But to your point, there's also the adults.
And it's closer.
Right.
It's closer. They can touch you. Like, granted, it's COVID, but they can still touch you. You can interact with them. And when one of my real closest teammates, Carlos, that he was on Last Chance U, we had so much fun together. Yeah. And we was like, yo, but let's put on a show. At the end of the day, arena football is showtime. It's not showtime, baby. It's not like a business. It's not always business. You have to entertain them. Because after you start winning too much, they get bored. Yeah. So what you gonna do next? You gotta dance. You gotta put on a show, pull out some anime kind of things, like, just have fun. And in St. Louis, I was on kick return, and the dude was like, hey, number 56, I like your hair. And it distracted me. So even that's how beautiful the game is. Not like the NFL that you only can get distracted on the sideline. No, you can hear them talk to you in the game before the ball gets kicked off. And it's a beautiful feeling, because at the end of the day, it's like, man, these people really came to see you play. Yeah. And the more you do well, the more they cheer you on. And then they want everything from you. Like, these kids took my gloves. I had no game day gloves for the next week. I had to order gloves because I ran out of gloves and hats, and my sweaty skull cap they took. Yeah. It's like, number 50, can I have? That's how kids love you. And I always say market yourself, because you can make a small thing into something really big. You can make thousands. You may not make millions yet, but you can make some thousands and make them believe like, hey, I can do that. And that's all they need is someone to believe in you, just like you believed in them.
100%. No, that's a great message. So obviously with that, talk to me about kind of, what you already talked about your goals, but also kind of talk to me about kind of like, you mentioned, I think you said you had an associate. So what are you involved with off the gridiron?
Off the gridiron, I help train some kids here and there at the local gym near me. I help just mentor them. I talk to some of my former classmates, and any kid that's still in college, especially like a defensive side of the player, I make sure that their mentals are good. I make sure that they're mentally just prepared for the season. If they're a defensive lineman, I give them techniques. They send me their game film, and we'll go over it through FaceTime and stuff like that. And I'll be like, hey, you took too many steps here. Let's not waste movement. Because especially since I live in Middletown, New York, and so I don't live in New York City anymore.
Yeah.
So the distance is far, but I still make the effort to communicate with the young athletes that you can still compete at the high level, no matter what level you went to and what size you are. And then my goals outside of football is to start my own gym eventually, because growing up in New York City, you don't have the facilities to do what you need to do to maximize your potential. When I got into my senior year, there's a brand now called About You, and that's a training facility down in Queens. And they started from my high school. They were actually my former coaches from Cardinal Hayes, and they branched out and started their own training facility / SAT prep. So I want something similar to that, but more on all levels with all sports, just like they have it. They train everyone. They train boxing, lacrosse, but I want to have one in the city, one in Jersey. I wanted to be able to be sports centric, that is a safe place for kids to come and play outside of basketball. Because basketball, you can play anywhere in New York City and play basketball. But kids that play lacrosse and soccer and baseball, they don't have nowhere to go in the winter. And then you don't have that ability. If you don't have an older brother or parent that has a gym membership and your school doesn't have a gym that's open, where do you train at?
Right.
So during the off season, they don't have the opportunity to train. So that's my goal, is to start my own gym within the next 5 years, to definitely maximize the potential of the young athlete, so they go into their senior seasons and their sophomore seasons and rack up the scholarships that they feel that they deserve. If you feel like you deserve it, put the work in, and let's put the film on tape, and then send it to these coaches, and we'll properly help you get to the next level. So similar to what Jordan Campbell does with the Winner's Circle, just like that, but even better, because it's going to be on the East Coast. So we're going to also do NFL prep. That's my goal, like do NFL prep, do college prep, make sure your grades is right. We're going to have, and we will suspend you. Like, that's how my mindset is. Like, I even talk to my associates here, because I'm assistant store manager here. I don't talk to you if you're not doing your work in school. You could be a college student. If you're not passing the class, my conversations are not helping you. So unless you're passing, I'm not speaking to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I hold people to a standard. Even though there may not be athletes, I still want them to progress in life. So that's my goal outside of here. So I do have I have to renew my personal training license, but I definitely I have dibbled and dabbled with the personal training on the side. It's just that people don't respect your time when you actually set a time for them. So I'll probably get back into that when I come back from Texas. But it's been a journey, just going through life and experiencing how to be a young adult. And with the family, like, my family is a great support. They don't maybe see the future like I do, but they definitely hold me to a standard. They make sure I work out, they make sure I eat, and they make sure I have fun. So it's been a journey.
Definitely. What did you think about the Super Bowl? Because you mentioned AD, and that's kind of someone who you model your game after. I mean, even though you said you're kind of not now because you drop weight and you might be transitioning, but I think you're still going to be playing online, right? Or maybe
I'm still going to be playing defensive line. I'm actually putting weight back on because I lost a little too much weight.
Yeah.
How I felt about the Super Bowl, I liked the Super Bowl. I was glad
Yeah.
that the Rams made it because I thought it would be a little too boring and I think you're a 49ers fan.
Yes, sir.
I would have thought I personally, no offense, I like the 49ers because of Nick Bosa, but I think it would have been a little too boring with the 49ers and the Bengals. But I would have picked the 49ers anyway because I like Deebo Samuels.
Yeah.
But with the Rams, I wanted Odell to win a Super Bowl because the narrative of him was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And he was when you're born to be an entertainer, people are just going to paint you in a negative light. He was going to be a pro athlete regardless. He was supposed to be a pro soccer player at 13, but he decided to stay home to hang with his mom. You can't knock him for not going pro to stay with his mother, to not leave her behind. So I wanted him to win the Super Bowl. It sucked that he had to get hurt, and now he don't know what his future is going to hold for him. But Aaron Donald, at the great season he had, and the other 8 great seasons he already had to really seal it up with a Super Bowl championship. Von Miller getting traded to them. Jalen Ramsey playing at the top tier as he could, and Matthew Stafford getting his chance and showing that I'm really like that. And then Cooper Kupp, just alone, like coming from Eastern Washington, and people didn't believe in him being a 3rd-round pick, or he was undrafted. I'm not sure exactly which one. I think it's a 3rd-round pick. Yeah. And he just became a dog. So that team alone, and it just showed like you can do whatever you want as long as you put your foot down. So I like the Super Bowl. I enjoyed it. I wish it went to overtime because I just wanted to see more, but Aaron Donald sealed the game the best way possible. The best way to win a championship is by defense, and he showed that from day one. So I'm happy for them. I'm happy for the Rams. Maybe one day, hopefully, I can suit up for one of these NFL teams. I don't care. At this point, I don't care where it is. I hate the cold, but I'll suit up in Detroit if I had to. I hate the cold.
Yeah.
I hate it, but I'll take it because it's an opportunity of a lifetime.
You're from New York.
What do you think about the Super Bowl?
Wait, hold on. You're from New York and you hate the cold?
Yes, that don't mean like I don't mind playing in the cold, but I don't like snow. Like snow pounding up the snow. It's cold, bro. It's really cold. It get cold, especially where I live now. Yeah. It could get to the -5, -10, and it's not worth it. You can't do nothing. It's cold. You wear jackets all. It's only 2 seasons, summer and winter.
Yeah. So when I played in Chicago for the Falcons, right, basically it was we had a polar vortex. So it was -58 degrees.
See, so that's not cool. That's not. I'm good. I don't need that. Like, yeah. But if a team is willing to pay me to go play there, I will do that happily. Even though I'll be sad inside, but I'll be happy to be there because the opportunity came and I'm playing on an NFL team. But at the end of the day, I'll be miserable.
That's why I came back.
Happy as hell.
Yeah, that's why I came back to Cali.
Exactly. Now Cali, Florida, Texas, Arizona. Arizona too hot. Arizona too hot. Yeah. But Florida, being in Florida would be amazing. But anyway, it doesn't matter at this point. I just want an opportunity, and I think I can, as a defensive end, I know I can compete at the highest level because you have to have a tool bag as a defensive end, and people think you just hop off the couch and just rush the passer. Nah, I believe defensive end and receiver is the same position, just backwards.
Right.
We make the same moves. It's just you have to do it in a lot more space. We have a calculated space of 5 to 10 yards.
Absolutely.
It's the same movement. It's the same jab. We call it a jab and a stab.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you're stabbing into their chest or you're jabbing away from them. Same thing when you're trying to get a perfect release, and you got to pick your spots and make everything looks the same until the point of attack. It's the same thing as a receiver. So we train to make sure things is, top tier. Sorry, that's the work phone. But I'm excited for this season. I'm excited for West Texas. I'm excited for whatever's withhold for me at the next level. Oh my God, nobody's gonna answer that. They're not gonna answer that in the front. There you go. They answered it now. But I'm excited for this season. I'm ready to compete. I'm at the best shape that I've ever been until next year. Like I'm running a mile in the 8 minutes, like at 2:40. I'm pushing myself to be better. I'm taking things even more seriously than ever because I want to play the whole season and lead the team in sacks because I know I can do that. And my tool bag, back to the tool bag, my tool bag is like that. And I help a lot of dudes. But at the end of the day, I was always taught you can give people the knowledge. That don't mean you gave them everything. At the end of the day, I can help. I love helping teammates because at the end of the day, I'm only as good as you. But that don't mean you better than me. You know what I'm saying? So like I know how to set up a move. I know what moves work on against you. Now sometimes you're gonna lose, and it's okay. But I've learned to next play mentality. As like a DB, you gotta be next play mentality because
short-term memory.
Because if once they see you fold, oh yeah, they're gonna take advantage of you. They're gonna make sure you, oh yeah, you're gonna feel their pressure. And trash talk get nasty in the trenches now. There's nothing off limits.
Yeah.
Nothing's off limits.
Yeah.
Except my mom. I might fight.
Yes, sir. You got
my mom. And I got 2 moms, so I'm adopted. So both my moms are off limits. But everything else, go ahead. It's fair share. I take it lightly.
100%. No, I mean, everything with the line's fair game. It's just, talking after and all that kind of stuff. I mean,
yeah.
But it's crazy because, I saw Eli Apple, and he was basically posting on IG, like, he's motivated because obviously after the embarrassment of the Super Bowl, obviously because, I didn't answer your question about what I think about Super Bowl. I thought it was a great game. Yesterday's guest, Tremaine Mack, he actually was on the Bengals, not recently, but, during like the 90s, and he's the all-time franchise all-time kickoff return yardage leader for Cincinnati. And yeah, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? So he was teammates with Eric Bieniemy, who's obviously on the Chiefs, and he was there for Boomer Esiason's last season as QB in '97. So, he kind of has that linkage and that relation with the organization. So when I talked to him about it, what he told me was that, he thought it was a great game, and it was kind of hard for him when Cincinnati went into Kansas City and beat Kansas City because he said Patrick Mahomes grew up in Whitehall or somewhere, or Whitehall, I forgot the name of the town, somewhere like 10 minutes away from where he grew up in Texas, right? And so, and like his dad, like I think his dad and him, they share the same college, high school baseball coach because he was a two-sport athlete in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I mean, he was conflicted. Obviously, Eric, right, being on the Chiefs too, right? And so.
Exactly. He had friends all over, but you got to stay with the team that took you.
100%. But I'm just going to echo what he said. It's not – Cincinnati should not feel disappointed about this loss. They should not.
I agree.
I mean, the holes on offensive line, the fact that they're able to make it while they're underdog almost every single round of playoffs outside of the wild card is just remarkable,
I agree.
This team is only going to continue to get better. I guess another NFL alumni has been a guest on the show, Mark Sogden. He's a Ravens fan. My college coach is now the assistant passing coordinator at Baltimore. He basically said that he's actually literally terrified that Cincinnati is going to become the powerhouse of the AFC North. And
that's
it's very
fair.
possible.
I like that notion because Joe Burrow, he cold. That boy cold, and he don't shy from pressure. He reminds me of a mixture of Andy Dalton because he's so polite, but with a Tom Brady.
Yeah,
because he's so polite. Like he was walking up to Von Miller, like, "Hey, Von," Aaron Donald didn't even say anything to him. As a defensive player, you don't want to talk to nobody.
Yeah,
like I'm going to kill you. Like I'm going to sack you and I'll sack you again. So don't talk to me. So he's so cold. And then Jamar Chase, and then Joe Mixon. Then I'm not a big fan of Eli Apple because now you're motivated. My brother's a Giants fan, so he's really upset at Eli Apple because like he had a good season this year, and I get it. You got to the championship game, and now you feel motivated, but you got cut twice, so you should be motivated since you got into the league. But hey, everyone finds their moments when they find their moments, so I'm not gonna harp on his loss now. I liked how he played until the last moment of the game. My boy Zay always say he ain't letting that happen. That was a simple move that Cooper Kupp did. You should have caught that, and Cooper Kupp caught it. So it's just like that should have never happened, but it happens. You fold in that moment. He folded under pressure. The moment when you needed him the most, he didn't capitalize because he could have had a Malcolm Butler moment. And that moment, and then if he sealed that moment, he would have been in NFL history forever. Now he's part of the losing team, and it's okay because there's so much growth. It's just, can you get back to the goal is, can you get back to in the playoffs with the AFC being that stacked?
Yeah.
The AFC stacked.
Super stacked. Oh, golly. Buffalo, Kansas City, Baltimore, obviously.
The Chargers, the Raiders.
LA.
If the Broncos can get somebody, they're contenders. The Patriots can sneak their way somewhere. There's a lot of talent in the AFC. The Ravens, if the Steelers find a quarterback right away, they could be back in contention. There's a lot of talent in the AFC at just like the quarterback level. The NFC, there's a lot of room for improvement. The Rams is the favorite still, so they could come back.
Yeah, they can come back. I do think the Niners, though, it depends if we're able to get. It depends on trade, but also depends on. I mean, if we're able to get another franchise QB, like kind of like a kind of like a franchise changing QB in this offseason. I don't know if that's even possible, but I mean,
I believe for the 49ers, they just need to if they could keep their running game healthy. If Raheem Mostert, if he could stay healthy, they could make it to the Super Bowl. That's their downfall. Their running backs, and this year been a bad year for running backs again because the Ravens got depleted. Derrick Henry led the league after 8 weeks with rushing yards until like the last week he was in the top 5. So it all depends.
Yeah, I actually got to see Raheem Mostert play in the NFC Championship game 2 years ago against the Green Packers, where he ran for 220 and 4 TDs. So it was pretty remarkable.
When he was a nobody, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, when he was a special teamer, exactly.
Exactly. You just gotta wait your time. Sometimes you just gotta wait for your moment. When you wait and you get your moment, like my boy Isaiah McKenzie on Buffalo, Cole Beasley got suspended, 11 catches for 119 yards. When you take an opportunity, you get an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to do what you got to do and wait for your opportunity when it comes.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. Well, man, it was good talking. So you got anything to close out your interview? Any final thoughts?
No, my final thoughts is, for all the young athletes that do watch, definitely continue to work hard, continue to push yourself, continue to fight for your dreams. Don't let nobody tell you you can't do it, because they just putting their emotions and feelings on you, which means nothing to you at the end of the day, because if God keeps on putting the same dream in your head every morning and every night, that means it's worth making the sacrifice. Now you got to make a conscious decision at a certain age and say, hey, bro, I might have to hang these things up. But if you're still young, chase your dreams, have fun, and live in the moment. Sometimes we beat ourselves up for not being where we wanted to be. But if it's still going the way you thought it can go, you're in the moment right now, and enjoy, carpe diem, seize the moment. So that's my words for all the viewers out there. Have fun, turn up, and live life,
100%. No, definitely great talking to you, Devon. Now go ahead and drop those socials if anyone wants to get in contact with you or kind of follow your career.
Yes, sir. So on Snapchat is your boy Dev, your boy _Dev. On Instagram is Presidential Dev. On Facebook is Devon Williams, or you could type in Presidential Dev on there too. Everything has to be presidential because that's how you move. You got to be presidential in this movement in life, because people going to judge you and you're going to make some bad decisions. But at the end of the day, you keep yourself professional, shirt and tie. Follow me on Instagram. I'll follow back. We can, any other podcast, I'm definitely happy to jump on. I want to help spread the word of your positive podcast. Tim was telling me about it, and Bobby, and they was like, yo, I told them that I had one. They said, get on there, just, expose yourself and show that you really a dog. So thank you for having me on. Thank you for the opportunity. And it definitely we switched it up last minute, but it was perfect timing because I got things to do Saturday anyway. So I'm glad that you switched it on me because this is a perfect setting, and I'm grateful for the opportunity.
100%. No, it was great. Great meeting you, brother. Great hearing about your story. I'm looking forward to your upcoming season, West Texas. Looking forward to, all the good things coming your way. It sounds like a lot of things going on. So a lot of good things to look forward to. So Devon, once again,
yes, sir.
Thank you for joining the show. Best of luck coming up.
Appreciate it.
And,
I
hope to see you again soon.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, brother.
All right.